So I'm making a sourdough bread. It's a single loaf recipe, but I doubled it. Hopefully it turns out well. And it only uses flour, water, salt, and a sourdough starter. Which this sourdough starter, I started off with a recipe my sister gave me, but then I realized partway through that I needed to change it to using. I needed to make changes because I'm at a higher altitude than where my sister lives by a lot. So I had to go and find a different recipe. So I've got all my flour in here. Now I need to put some water, which for my doubled recipe to make 2 loaves, it's 3 point something cups. And honestly, it's really going to be a as it looks kind of thing, because I think the humidity is kind of high today, which is usually weird for Wyoming because we don't have a lot of humidity, but today is a little pretty humid. It's been raining a lot this week, so it's actually pretty humid, so I might not need as much water as this high altitude recipe calls for, but we'll just have to see. It's one of those things where you just have to see how the consistency is looking. But before I put the water in, I gotta put this salt in here, which it's I don't remember. This is pink Himalayan salt from, we got it bulk actually about 10 years ago. So my mom bought this huge sack of salt from this bulk food place in Missouri back when I lived there, and this and another half-gallon jar is all we have left of it, and it seriously has gone a long way, and we haven't had to buy salt for years just because we bought one big sack years and years ago in Missouri. And then the half teaspoon. So that's 3.5 teaspoons. And I'm not doing quite 3 cups just because I still have to see if it needs that much water. So I'm doing 2.5 to start with, and if it needs it, I'm going to go ahead and add more water. Only if it needs it though. And now to measure out the sourdough. So it needs half a cup of sourdough, supposedly. So we will see how this goes. It might need a little more, but we'll have to see. So these have risen for about an hour, and they haven't really doubled, but I don't want to have their peak rise be when they're not baking, because I read somewhere that with sourdough you want their peak rise to be as it's cooking in the oven, so you don't want to let it rise all the way. So I had these covered. I had these dishes sprayed with butter spray, and then I put the dough in, and then I have these saran wrap I sprayed with that butter spray too, so it wouldn't get dried out from the air. And it seems like it's done its job. There's not like a crunchy skin on the outside, dried up skin, so it seems like it's done its job. And so I'm going to take these off, and the next step is to scour them. Now, I'm not sure how much these are going to rise, but I do know with sourdough you do have to have deeper scours. You have to scour them, and so I will just be cutting these. I did think about doing that string method where you have tied strings around it so it has this pretty look to it, but I think I'll do one that way and the other not that way, because I want to see if it works. If it works on one, then the other one is still good. And even if it doesn't work on the other one, like if one works, great. If the other doesn't work, then it's still not a big deal, because we're still gonna eat it even if it's not pretty.
Well, hang on. I'll tell you how the sourdough is. Let me see.
Go ahead.
Oh, she's scoring it. Oh, making it all pretty.
These are the scores that matter here, the deep ones here.
You gonna show the video?
Yeah.
Both ways, right?
I don't know. Let's see. Well, they baked for about an hour. 50 minutes, maybe. Yeah, 15 minutes. Looking beautiful. And that's the one I did there. And then this one with the strings. It only did a little bit of shaping the bread by having these little edges. It didn't really do a lot. It didn't rise as much as I thought it would, but it is kind of a cold day. So if it had been warmer in here, it probably would have risen better. But it still is pretty. Not the most beautiful loaf. Look at that pretty loaf. Ooh, hot. It's very hot. It's kind of not very pretty on the underside. But look at that beautiful texture. That's pretty. Then here's this one with the leaf impressions kind of. Here they are outside of the bread pans. And here they are lower down so you can see how much they were. They were about this big when I put it in the pan, and it probably rose from here to here. Probably rose that much. Not a super big rise, but it did do its job. It's cooked and it will be tasty to eat.